How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Supporters Club. It's the international break, so it's only right to give you a couple Supporters Club discussing the headlines, the talking topics around Arsenal Football Club. And there's not much headlines at the moment. I know there's some news regarding Ramsdale. His father's come out to speak, which we'll probably touch on in this conversation, because this conversation is going to be based around our summer signings and rating each individual summer signing, Timber aside, because I don't believe it's fair to even entertain rating a player that, you know, done his ACO in his first appearance of the season for Arsenal Football Club. So Timber aside, we're going to rate every Arsenal signing this summer. We want you to do the same in the comment section. Hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, put the notification bell on. You know what it is already, people. Let me introduce the guests as always. Starting to the far left, we've got Chris Hudson back in the building.
All right, lads.
Supporters Club's your home now, man.
Yeah,
I keep telling people, but yeah, this is where you can find Chris Hudson, people. You want Chris?
Yeah, I'm
Supporters
all
Club.
right, mate. Yeah, I'm loving it. The Arsenal doing well.
Yeah?
And we'll discuss the summer signings.
100%. And Sharoy's back in the building. It's been a little while since you've been on the Supporters Club.
Yeah, it has, and you know, since
Busy
the last
man.
time. Yeah. And the temperature's changed, so I've sort of paid homage to the big homie Stricto with the hoodie and the overcoat, man. I hope you don't mind me catting your style if you're watching Stricto.
It's not beige, so I think,
fair
I
enough.
think he's all right. I think that's
Fair
what
enough.
he's got patented, the beige coat. But
Fair
big up
enough.
Sharoy, big up Chris, hit the like button, people. Sharoy's Voice, his channel is due to launch. People just subscribe, and when the first video comes out, you know, just make sure you subscribe, put the notification bell on. Chris, how are you feeling about the summer signing stuff? And let's start with the big one. The one that not necessarily surprised us all, because Declan Rice was rumoured to, you know, be of interest for Arsenal from January last season. But the fee we spent in the end with Man City, you know, entering the race, it was quite an achievement for Arsenal. It felt like turning a corner for Arsenal Football Club, spending that much money on one individual player and also beating off healthy competition for him. How have you found Declan Rice?
I think he's a bargain. I think he's got to be one of the best signings that this club's ever made. For Arsenal to spend that amount of money on a footballer and to get it right,
It's unheard of.
it's fantastic. Yeah. And I still think he's playing with a little bit, perhaps the role he's got is a little bit of the handbrake on. I think there's a little bit more to come, but I think that's you could say that about the team. But
agreed, yeah.
I think we're more conservative at the moment. We're not the Arsenal team of last year, swashbuckling entertainers. We're a little bit more playing, what's the word? We're not playing with our hearts, playing with our head.
Tentatively, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think he's been a wonderful, you can't moan about him.
Do you think, obviously, the players around him and the lack of availability of Partey, Odegaard's injury, Havertz being a new signing, which we'll get onto shortly, he hasn't really had the combination there to build that chemistry yet?
I don't think. How many times do you think he's played with Partey this season? Zero, I think, because when Partey played, he played at full-back, and over that he's injured.
Yeah, just the 10 minutes against City, I guess.
Possibly,
that was the
yeah.
only...
So he's come into a new team, and he's the main man, isn't he? Let's face it.
Yeah, he is.
You love him.
Sharoy, Declan Rice, £105 million signing. Probably our player of the season so far.
Yeah, I struggle to think of many signings, regardless of value, that can come into a team and are in with a shout of man of the match in pretty much every single game they've played.
Yeah.
Every game I watch, there's always a standout, right? You can talk about Eddie Nketiah with a hat-trick, or Gabriel Jesus in Europe when he scored those important goals, but Declan Rice is always in with a shout for man of the match. So that's one thing, leading by example on the pitch and letting your football do the talking, which for me is the best way to do the talking if you're a sportsman. Big moments. A lot of people will focus on the fact that we beat United 3-1. Don't forget who got the second. You know, don't forget who gets the one at the back post.
Yeah.
The big moment to put us ahead. That ultimately, look, it could be a goal that when you look back at the season, could have not only changed the trajectory of our season, but maybe Man United's as well. Who knows? You know, so you've got big moments there. And one thing that, you know, I watch a lot of the content on this channel. There was talk about him on, I think, this week's episode of Forever. And there was talk about, you know, is Declan Rice technical? And there's a lot that Jordan says I agree with, but one thing he said was, people talk about Declan Rice's ball carrying ability and the way that he drives through midfield, and I think Jordan said something along the lines of, most professional footballers can do that. They can't, in my view. They can't. The way that he picks up the ball from deep and doesn't immediately have to look left and right to spray it, like people like Jorginho might have to, because they don't have the option of just cutting straight through the heart of a team. Declan Rice has that, you know, and it's because of his strength, it's because of his ability to shield the ball, it's because of the length of his stride, and that is something that you can't really put a price tag on, because in situations where you can't thread the ball through the eye of a needle, you just need someone to literally grab the game by the scruff of the neck and dart, and he can do that too. we were talking about the combinations and the people he's played with. One of the reasons I think it's sort of taken the shine off the signing for me a little bit is because I don't think we've done the business right around him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's actually been, even though I'm singing his praises, I don't think he's been able to shine to the extent that the team has leveled up in the way that it would have if he was playing alongside a Thomas Partey, for example, or even a Granit Xhaka. Because the people that he's been playing alongside in general terms for me have actually been a downgrade on last year, but I'm sure we'll come to that.
Yeah, you're right. Go on, sorry, Chris.
And another thing, Declan Rice. But how early was the Tottenham game this season? Was that how many? Was that the third or fourth fixture?
No, not that early.
I think sixth
fixture. Look what happened when he went off in the second half.
Yeah.
Tottenham swamped us.
Yeah.
And I maintain if he stayed on the field, we would have won that game.
And yeah, that's one of our poorest 45 minutes.
So it just shows you, even that early, he was having such an impact.
Yeah, I'm with you, Shura, as well. I mean, when Jordan said that, I just thought to myself, you mentioned one player that can't do that. Jorginho can't, pick up the ball and run through the
But there's more than that. There are people that we'd call good young midfielders that can't do it. That's my point.
It's a quality that you can't say everyone can do because you see very few players with the confidence behind it too. To have the confidence to pick up the ball and drive, knowing that, you have to beat 2-3 man. And I think Rice has done that from midfield more than any other midfielder for Arsenal already in the last maybe 5-10 years.
Look at the two Chelsea midfield players they've spent over £200 million on.
They're still working it out over there. Who do you liken Declan Rice to, Chris? Because I've seen a lot of comparisons to Roy Keane, and Roy Keane's one of my favourite Premier League players ever. I know he played at a rival, but I'm also Irish, so I've got that, affinity to him. But do you liken him to? I don't see a Roy Keane in him, even though, listen, if he's been likened to a Premier League legend, probably the best captain the Premier League has seen, I don't mind them comparisons. But who do you liken him to in terms of players that you knew growing up or at Arsenal Football Club?
Well, some games he reminds me of Gilberto Silva. He's like that brick wall. And other games, bit of Patrick Vieira.
Box to box.
He's not quite Patrick's just yet.
Yeah.
But he's getting there.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the mix there. I think Patrick Vieira's box-to-box attributes were easier on the eye. He'd done it with a certain level of elegance, whereas Rice's is more like a bulldozer going straight through. Sure, right?
One thing I haven't seen from him yet, to be able to say this is a like-for-like comparison, is cutting edge in the final third and goals. If he can add that to his game, when we're talking about someone that can drive through the heart of a team, talismanic in that nature, the first name that comes to mind is Yaya Toure. I genuinely look at his dynamism, his ball-winning capability, the way he can ultimately play as a pivot by himself if he has to, and get you into those attacking areas. He's the last person I can remember doing it to that level in the league. But what Yaya Toure did, he could unleash one from 30 yards. Or he could make the difference in that sense. And I think that's something that Declan will have to add to his game at some point.
Okay, let's bring Jordan's comment back in then. Is that what you think he meant by not being technical enough? Because Yaya Toure, especially in that final third, especially his striking of a ball, he was very technical with it. He could find the top corner from free kicks, open play, something Rice can't. Is that what Jordan meant, or do you think that's still being a bit harsh because you've seen something that tells you that this could happen for Rice moving forward too? Look,
when I used to look at Thomas Partey taking shots from outside the box, I know he scored a couple, but he took a lot of shots, and a lot of them were in Rose Ed. I can't remember Declan Rice taking that many shots. I don't think he, either on instruction or he's just not finding himself in those positions. It's not like he's not finishing his dinner on a regular basis. He's just not, either it's not a part of his game yet, or Arteta has instructed him, that's not you right now. Unless it's a clear-cut opportunity, that's not you. But I think ultimately, look, man, 105 mil used to be transformative to the extent that you are one of the best players in the world. It's not that anymore. I'm still of the school of thought where 105 mil, yes, if you're a midfielder, you have to do the midfield job correctly. But I do expect some attacking returns at some point from a player who costs that much, particularly when we're not getting the attacking returns we want down the middle.
Which we might move on to shortly. Listen, let's rate Declan Rice transfer out of 10. Chris?
9.
9? Yeah. Strong? Yeah, fair enough. Sure, right?
I have to say the same. The only reason I can't give it a 10, some things are beyond his control. Like I said, I don't think he's been able to shine to that extent because of the people around him. But there are still bits of his game to add. But I was told by West Ham fans that watched him week in, week out, you do not know what you are getting right now. And I wasn't entirely sure what they meant by that. Now I get it.
And Nicky, Nicky, West Ham Fan TV, I remember he said, listen, this is the best academy product he's ever seen. And I mentioned to him, Rio Ferdinand, I mentioned to Frank Lampard, he said, this is the best academy product I've seen. Now, I can only hope that he reaches the levels that Rio and Frank reached in the Premier League and in European competition too. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm tempted to say 10 as well because it's been pretty much flawless, and the reason I'm marking him down is because of maybe the efficiency in the final third. But then I look at around him, the injuries, the job he's being asked to do, maybe, moving forward with Partey back or with a better structure around him, we'll start seeing those returns in the final third. But we're going for all 9s, people. We want to hear your rating for Declan Rice. 105 million transfer, man of the match more often than not this season, hits the ground running, and let's keep it moving on to the next one. And the next one is Kai Havertz. The conversation swinging from one end of the spectrum to the other. Where do we start? Sure, let's start with you on this one. Will we start with Chris on Declan Rice?
Start with me on this one, all right.
Yeah, I think it's only fair. I could start, but I think people know my opinions of Kai Havertz already.
What did you expect?
That's
ultimately my problem with it. It's what did you expect? And that's the problem I have with this. I'm not going to sit here and slate Kai Havertz for doing what I thought he would do when we brought him in, man.
Ghost.
It's not his fault that we bought him, so I'm not going to sit here and attack him. But you're talking about 65. What I was saying about 105 million being an extravagant fee, and I'm still of that school of thought. Yeah. Now, if I'm operating on that basis, 65 million is still a hefty fee.
100%.
That's someone who comes into your team, walks into the starting 11, which this guy did, but hits the ground running and absolutely helps you level up. And the reason this signing is particularly problematic for me, I'm looking at some of the midfield signings that teams like Liverpool have made.
Yeah.
Last couple of weeks of that window, you had people like Gary Neville on the overlap saying Liverpool's midfield is so weak that they would swap their midfield for United's now. He said that pretty much word for word. But Liverpool went out into the window, they lost out on Caicedo, but they have brought in people now that, notable Liverpool fans are calling like the Hungarian Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
And you're looking at people that are influencing the final third. I just think that would have been money better spent on a different player. And also, I get everyone saying, you are no expert, Arteta is an expert, Arteta must have a plan or must see things in build-up that you don't see or whatever. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Arteta doesn't know more than me. Of course he does, he's a manager, but I can't even hazard a guess as to what he's seeing.
I'm with you.
I can't even hazard a guess. And the amount of people that I see when Kai Havertz comes up who say, no, but you're not analysing his game well enough because you're not seeing what he does in terms of creating space for others and ball recoveries and perhaps breaking up play and these sorts of things. I'm like, he's playing in the 8 the majority of the time. All of that stuff ultimately is stuff that Declan Rice is doing single-handedly. So when Kai Havertz is on the ball, I want head up, I want incisive passes, I want him to, if he's creating that space for other players, I want him to find those players in that space as well. I want to look more fluid going forward. I want more goals with a £65 million midfielder. I want teams to look at Kai Havertz starting and go, okay, that's one of their big money men. We have a problem here. How many teams, when they're setting up against us, are going to be sitting there going, what do we do with Kai? What do you reckon? What do you reckon they're saying? They're saying, all right, you know what?
On the team sheet.
Let him do his thing. I'm not particularly worried about him.
Chris, I'm completely with Shorai. He said, what did we expect? But what did you expect? Did you expect anything different to what you've seen from him so far?
I've got to think about what I'm going to say here.
No, just be real with it, honestly.
I think he's been a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we assume that Arteta knows more than us. That's obvious. So for him to say to Edu, I think it's worth £65 million, there's got to be something there, isn't there? So really, it must be an Arteta project.
Yeah.
Perhaps, but football managers have been well known to be stubborn. Doesn't make them right though. And let's face it, Arteta is a very stubborn man. Once he makes up his mind, that's it. So I'm just going to put it down to Arteta. What we've all seen is been a bit of a disappointment.
100%. But it's one thing getting Sambi Lokonga wrong. It's one thing getting a Willian wrong. It's another thing getting a Tavares wrong. Getting this one wrong is a big one because this one was for me the transformative signing. When we all looked at Xhaka leading up to last season, a lot of us had enough, especially me. But then last season, what he brought, was so much to a team that was on the cusp of winning a Premier League title. but the majority still wanted an upgrade on him. I still wanted him in the squad, Xhaka, but we wanted an upgrade. And that upgrade really was in the final third. Because I think Xhaka as a powerhouse, as a ball winner, as someone that can, play it between the lines. We was all seeing great things from Xhaka last season. We wanted to build on that and bring in someone who in the final third can actually, consistently be a threat. And that's where I think Arteta's got it wrong, because you are right. You get a hell of a lot of fans after game saying, did you see the space he created for that goal? Or did you see the assist for, his assist for Martinelli gets brought up against City. That wasn't a difficult thing to do. I wouldn't reference that assist for a 15 million pound player, let alone a 65 million pound player. So I think, a lot of people are struggling to understand what Arteta saw in him and are now struggling to understand what he brings to the team.
Plus the fact, I know he's injured again, he's stopping Smith Rowe, isn't he? Would Smith Rowe be a better option there? And also on a bigger picture, I think it's been proven, like when we have a lot of injuries, we're doing okay, but I'm getting worried as the season goes along. Is Havertz, Vieira, are they good enough?
Probably not.
Compared with Liverpool and Man City?
Probably not. And you know what also can I look at? When Zinchenko inverts into that space where, Havertz starts, I see great things from Zinchenko. I see a player that's
he's better. He's not a fullback.
But this season I've seen Tomiyasu float into that space and give me more. It's one thing Zinchenko doing it. Now I'm seeing Tomiyasu float into that space that Havertz occupies and bring me more than Kai Havertz has done this season.
Oh, okay, and I'm bringing more than Kai Havertz has done this season. I'm taking a step back and looking at where we ended up last year. Where we ended up last year had a lot to do with my perception of what this window had to look like. And by that I mean, we are here, Man City are here, what can we do to get here? Yeah? We're bringing in Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is a signing that when he came in, we knew that he would have to get up to our level. I'm not here to listen to the Chelsea fans that are saying, how can you be so condescending about a Champions League winner? The vast majority of your team haven't done that. I'm not asked about that, because the level at which he was operating was nowhere near the level at which we were operating last year. If you are trying to elevate, you have to buy players that are going to come in and bring your existing infrastructure up, not the other way around.
Yeah.
What we have here is a player that is being gifted a penalty and is almost embarrassed to celebrate it, and people are putting their arm around him. That is not something that's going to elevate you. That is ultimate. If we're trying to cultivate an elite environment, every signing that you bring in has to improve you in some way, shape or form. And there was no area of the pitch where I looked at that and said, he's going to make us a lot better here. And the issue is, we're all sitting here saying, struggling to come to terms with what Arteta might see in him. I'm not struggling. I do not see it. It's not me struggling. It's not me identifying something and saying,
I'm trying to find
that's
it.
The point. But I shouldn't have to try. That's my point. I shouldn't have to try.
Yeah.
For 65 million, it should be abundantly clear. With Declan Rice, it's abundantly clear. When Jesus came in, it was abundantly clear.
Even Timber through a couple of appearances.
Abundantly clear. The minute Timber came in, we were all like, wow, season could change. And I can go through it. Gabriel, it was abundantly clear. You can look at Odegaard, it was abundantly clear. There are so many of Arteta signings that have been. Exactly. But with this one, it wasn't. And that's why I'm so baffled. And I really, really hope this isn't the sword that the manager falls on.
So do I. That's why I really hope that, similar to Tavares, similar to Lokonga, similar to Willian, it gets sorted out sooner rather than later, because especially under Wenger, we had a history of players coming in, not performing, and seeing that player still in the Arsenal shirt 5 years later, not performing.
I've got to throw in Vieira as well,
You can. We actually can double up on it, because Vieira was the original attacking midfielder to come in, the one that was meant to step in for Odegaard when he's injured. Instead, Odegaard's injured and Havertz steps in. So there's something there 100% with Mikel's eye for an attacking midfielder maybe, but then he brought in Odegaard, who, the rest is history. He's our captain now. Rating. Should I start this one to make it easier? I'm going to go for a 0, because I have seen absolutely nothing to even say a number 1. Chris, it's harsh. People know me for being harsh. I wish I could give him more, even though 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 wouldn't be enough for me as a good enough rating. It has to be a 0, because I've seen nothing. I've seen a lack of effort. I've seen a lack of fight, a lack of hunger, a lack of fire, determination, desire. These are all things, you know, that are not measured with the ball at his feet per se.
He looks scared.
These are characteristics.
Yeah.
This is personality. This is, you know, who you are as a man. And I've seen nothing. And then if I now bring it on to what I've seen on the ball, I've seen less on the ball than I've seen in terms of his character. So for me, 0. 0, Sharoy.
I look at Man City in the Community Shield. Did he influence the trajectory of that game? All right, a little bit. Nowhere near as much as you have to if you're a 65 million player, but I'd say a little bit. People talk about the assist for Martinelli. Look, I'm not saying it was a difficult thing to do, but he was there. He was the person that gave Martinelli the ball. He is the person that occupied that defender, which is why I'm not going to give him a 0. But I am going to give him a 2. And that's literally because I've basically given him a point for every memorable moment.
You're being very nice.
That's me being very nice.
And you know it.
That's me being very nice.
Yeah.
But to the extent that
this is like you giving a penalty to Kai, basically.
Correct. But to be giving a 65 million pound midfielder a 2 and still feeling like you're erring on the side of positivity, I think says it all.
100%. You surprised me with a 2, and it's a 2. Chris, you've got a 0, you've got a 2.
I'll stick with a 2.
Yeah.
I'll just pray that it all works out for him.
We all do.
I pray it works out for Arteta, because Arteta has done so much good at this club in the last 3 years. You know, he's done some bad for sure. Before everyone in the comment section, you know, you love him. No, there was times I doubted him, but when you look at where we are now, you have to give him massive credit. But this one, I don't want this to be the end of it all, per se, with it all blowing up because of this signing. So 2 for you, Chris.
Yeah, sorry.
2. You don't have to say sorry to me. I said a 0.
Sorry.
People, we're laughing about it because we're 1 point off the top. So at this moment in time, as much as, you know, we haven't looked at Havertz's time at Arsenal too fondly, hopefully it can turn around. That's coming from me as well. Sharoy, Chris have said that. I echo that. Hopefully he can turn it around, prove me wrong, prove us wrong, prove a lot of Arsenal fans wrong, because that's all we want, Arsenal to move forward. What do you rate Kai Havertz? Have you given us your Declan Rice rating? Give us your Kai Havertz rating as well. Hit the like button. Are we on 1,000 likes yet? If we're not, let's get there. If we are, then let's get to 2,000. Why not? Last but not least, because I'm leaving at Timber, David Raya. Surprise signing. But Chris, I'm going to start with you here, because at the beginning, and I keep on saying this, at the summer transfer window, you was the only one that said, I want a new keeper in. And you didn't say new keeper to replace Ramsdale, you said to compete with. And that's what we got. But has it been much competition?
Yeah, I think he's settled down a bit, Raya, lately. But I think this whole situation, Ramsdale, Raya, is doing my head in.
Now you got Ramsdale's dad involved.
You know, I mean, well, why would you let your dad do that?
Yeah, it was silly.
And if you know Arteta, well, I don't think he'll take kindly to that.
Probably not. He's not that type of,
you know.
It's more undermining kind of.
I don't think that'll go down well. But we're not here. See, we're falling into the trap. We're not here to talk about
the debate, yeah.
I'm talking about Raya. Well, I hold my hands up. He's had a few dodgy moments, but I think lately he has settled down. I thought it was a wonderful save Saturday.
Yeah, massive at 0-0 as well.
It was a great save.
It looked like that was destined for the back of the net.
And I think if he could just, I think all this pressure about Ramsdale, that could be playing a part. When he first got in the team, he was a little bit nervous. He did make a few mistakes, but I think he's settled, and I'm going to stick with him. Yeah.
And I think part of the pressure is that Arteta's actually asking him to do something that he's not too familiar with, and that's holding onto the ball till the very last minute, which has been the cause of a lot of our nerves with Raya Sharoy.
It's probably for me been the primary cause of it, but I can't talk about David Raya without talking about Aaron Ramsdale. I just can't. And the reason I say that is because when you have a goalkeeper who's come in like Aaron Ramsdale did and has done a lot of good. You know, he had a couple of mistakes, but I think on balance he saved us a lot more points than he lost us last year.
Yeah.
For us to bring in a goalkeeper, I was then expecting, all right, this is our Edison or Alisson moment. Because if you're going to upgrade on someone, then it needs to be a tangible upgrade. I need to be able to look at you when you're in between those two posts and say, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Mm-hmm. We're up. We leveled up.
Yeah.
I love you, Aaron, but I'm sorry. Not once have I been able to say that conclusively. I'm not saying that I won't be able to say that by the end of the season.
Yeah.
I might be able to say that, but this is being recorded in November. So I'm giving my opinion as at November. David Raya has been all right, but has he transformed the way we play out from the back? I don't see it yet. I think we played out from the back all right with Aaron Ramsdale. Has he transformed the way in which we find Saka and Martinelli directly from the goalkeeper? He's done all right in moments.
Yeah,
he's done all right in moments. Yeah, but there were times where we did that with Aaron Ramsdale last year. So it's not necessarily that, and that's why I can't really look at David Raya in isolation, because he has come in and usurped someone that I thought was already doing a relatively decent job. So I'm not going to criticise the performance of David Raya, but what I will say is this: if we're talking about signing players, in signings like Kai Havertz, in signings like David Raya, for a manager who has always wanted to try and ensure that there are no distractions, you've created a couple here.
That's what I was going to ask. That was my next question, and I'll stick with you before going over to Chris. So far, in November, was it 12 games in? Has the signing done more harm than good? Because of the extra satellite stuff as well, with Ramsdale's dad coming out, basically telling us how Ramsdale's feeling behind the scenes, with rumours that he wants to go in January, which you said it before we went off air. Are we stronger with Ramsdale Turner or with Raya Hine? Which it could very well be the possibility come January. So has the signing so far done more harm than good?
Yeah, for a number of reasons actually. I'm looking at the rest of the players in the dressing room. They will have known what the situation with Aaron Ramsdale was before his father came out and spoke about it. I was always under the assumption that Arteta told us one thing, but he had a candid man-to-man conversation with Aaron Ramsdale behind the scenes and said, I have told people that he is coming in to be the substitute, but Aaron, he is my number one, you are my cup goalkeeper. That is the base level of decency that I would expect if I was working for someone, working under someone. It sounds like he didn't do that. Every other player in that dressing room could be saying, Aaron Ramsdale was a fan favourite, played a crucial part in us getting to the top four, and he has not been given the base level of dignity to have an explanation as to why he is no longer contributing in the first team, per se. That is problematic, and that does harm in the dressing room. Secondly, it's obvious, and I'm not going to delve into what we need now, but it's obvious that we do need bits in the squad. Maybe we wouldn't have if we had devoted the amount of time and effort spent in securing David Raya, and crucially the funds, in plugging those holes. If we end up at the end of this season looking at holes that we did not plug for the luxury of having a second number one, that will reflect badly. So that has also done more harm than good. And now, before every single game, tune into AFTV, tune into Sky Sports, look at the starting 11 coverage, who's starting in goal. It is a conversation.
Always, yeah.
It is not a conversation at any other club in the Premier League. None of our competitors have that distraction. We now do. What does that do? In my view, it was always going to apply pressure to David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale. That pressure could have elevated them both. It's a risk that Arteta's taken. I don't think it has elevated them both.
No.
I don't think either of them feel secure. As a result, I don't think either of them look confident. And I say that because I look at Ramsdale in the Carabao Cup when we went out. Didn't look that great to me.
Right. You're right.
Didn't look that great to me. So on balance, right now, not the best move.
And the thing is, our next league game, who's got to play in goal?
Yeah, Ramsdale. Brentford away.
Well,
right?
David Raya was allowed to play.
No, it's league, it's different.
But Brentford can't waive that?
No.
Okay, all right.
So
Ramsdale's in goal the game after his father's come out and given that statement?
The next one after this show.
And he has got, imagine if he comes in and has a nightmare.
Imagine he comes in and has
a blinder.
What happens? What happens then? Does that make Arteta's job more difficult, or is that what Arteta wants?
Well,
for him to stand up to the
say
fight?
He does come in as a fantastic game at Brentford, and then leaves him out for Lons at home.
But that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's horrible. And that goes back to what I was discussing off camera, which is, if you're going to come out and tell people that I'm bringing in another goalkeeper because I'm going to transform the way in which people look at goalkeepers, and I'm going to have two number ones, and I'm going to rotate, but you're not doing that. I love ruthless managers, but I love ruthless managers when they are direct and they are not disingenuous. Honesty, always do unto others as you would want done unto yourself. That is always the way that I live. Mikel Arteta would not appreciate being lied to, the public being lied to, and then just being discarded if he was a player.
But don't you think goalkeeper is a bit of an Achilles heel for Arteta? If you think he inherited Leno, then he had Martinez, he sold Martinez, stuck with Leno,
Ramsdale come in.
Ramsdale come in, now we got this situation.
But that could have been the end of it.
Yeah.
The Leno Martinez thing. I knew it could have gone wrong.
Keeper.
I knew it could have gone wrong, but I didn't mind either. When Ramsdale was in, that could have been the end of the goalkeeper saga, couldn't it?
Yeah,
but the thing is,
now.
The reason I wanted a new goalkeeper, because I think, I might be wrong, but I think he made a lot of mistakes. Ramsdale.
Yeah, he did.
No, he did.
He did.
And the game where I really lost it with him, Ramsdale, was Fulham at home this season. I thought we had a really bad game in it.
Oh, this is the first goal that everyone called the Saka mistake.
Yeah,
but in my opinion, Rambo should have saved it. Yeah,
and Fulham's equaliser.
From the corner.
Oh, yeah.
And then immediately after that game, social media was full of that's it for Ramsdale, and
that's what the signing brought, that extra attention to a position that we didn't really need extra attention.
Is there something going on that we don't know about?
Maybe.
Why does the goalkeeping coach at Arsenal is the one who's pushed for this, by the way?
So it seems so. But Arteta's the one that's made the decision, and it's going to fall on him.
This other interview with Ramsdale, it's appeared that he can't concentrate.
Oh yeah, the one with Ian Wright. That's the clipped up from last year. He can't concentrate for 90 minutes, hence why he does the whole theatrics with the crowd. And
would you admit
it doesn't read well. I mean, I think Wrighty knew it when he heard it. I think Wrighty's eyes were about to pop out his head.
It is a really, really stupid thing to say. I'm sorry, it's a really stupid thing to say for an elite sports person that's gunning for an international place to come out and say, if you ask me to concentrate for 90 plus minutes, I can't do it. So I have to turn around and distract myself by geeing up the fans and getting into it. What do you think a manager like Mikel Arteta is thinking when he hears that?
Yeah. Even a Gareth Southgate. I mean, any manager hearing that.
I'm not too sure about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you'd expect, that not to come out of a professional's mouth, not being able to concentrate for your professional sport.
And going back, as he said all this, to get a move in January, but there's no way Arsenal, the only way you get a move in January is we'd have to bring a new number 2 in, because Haaland is too young. You can't, there's no in our luck. We sell Ramsdale, and then Raya do his shoulder in and be out for 6 weeks. That's Arsenal's luck.
No in our luck. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll hold off on the January talk because our next episode is going to be on January. But let's wrap up this one with a rating for David Raya coming in. We start with you for Rice, we start with me for Havertz or Sharoy. Let's start with you on this one.
6. He's been all right. But the reason I give him 6 is because of what I expected. These ratings that I'm giving based upon what I expected when they came here.
Yeah.
And with an upgrade on Ramsdale, who I would have probably put in the 8s, I would have expected a 10-10 goalkeeper. I cannot say that he has been a 10-10 goalkeeper. I look at the one, I think it was against Tottenham, when he sort of parries it out.
Flapped, yeah.
I think he could have done a lot better there. I think Chelsea, he really wasn't at it. Mm-hmm. And there have been a lot of other shaky moments. I think there are moments against City where he looked very shaky as well. However, there are moments where some of his saves have been incredible and some of his distribution has been great. So for me, I think 6 is fair for now.
It is fair, Chris.
No, go 7.
Yeah.
Just because I think he has settled down a little bit lately. And that save he pulled off against Burnley.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, that was a brilliant. And even the Tottenham save with Brennan Johnson.
Yeah. I'm giving him a 7.
I'm gonna give him a 6, just over 5. I was tempted to say 5, but you've both kind of swayed me to be a bit more positive with it. I just look at the off-field stuff, and I think it's had a greater impact off-field amongst the fans and the pundits, and the mentality of Ramsdale and his family than it has done on the pitch for me. I'm yet to see that upgrade that warrants all this off-the-field stuff to give him any more than a 6.
But that's not on Raya.
No, it's not.
That's not on him.
It's not 100%. It's on Mikel. Same with Kai.
That's what I mean.
And talking of families, do you remember the day we signed Raya?
With the grandfather in there.
All with Arsenal shirts.
Yeah, they seem to love the club as well. So it's a big move for him, like it was a big move for Ramsdale. People, that's the third and final summer signing we're rating here. Declan Rice, Kai Havertz and David Raya. Timber, no rating. We wish him a healthy recovery and hope he's back soon. And maybe we can rate him later on down the line. But in the first few appearances, we did see him across pre-season and the start of the league. He looks very good. But make sure you give us your ratings for Declan Rice, for Kai Havertz, and for David Raya in the comment section. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you tune in again real soon, because the next show that comes out, it'll be us three again. We're about to hit stop on this record and we're about to start again to talk about the January window. So make sure you tune in there. Subscribe, put the notification bell on. Love for the love, people.